igniting curiosity across depots, command centers, and beyond. Welcome to your weekly Depot AI Brief, where emerging AI meets mission-ready insights. Welcome to Episode 5, Securing Agents and the YOLO Standard.
It is Sunday, February 1st, 2026.
And we are, already 1 month into the new year. If you're feeling like the tempo is picking up, well, you're not imagining things.
Not at all. The tech hitting the OIB right now is moving faster than a Black Hawk on a rescue run. It's really accelerating.
There's this distinct shift happening this week, isn't there? We're finally moving past, the simple chatbots.
Oh yeah, the ask a question, get a summary days.
Exactly. We're moving into the era of agents that actually do work. And on the hardware side, down on the floor, vision systems that can spot problems before a human eye even knows where to look.
It really is a pivotal moment. I mean, we've spent the last couple of years chatting with our data. Now we are starting to act on our data.
But I guess with that capability, giving an AI the keys to the car, so to speak, that comes with a massive responsibility.
A huge one. To secure it properly.
Today we're breaking down exactly how these AI updates impact our 4 core roles, from the shop floor to the executive suite. And we'll wrap up with key highlights and insights on the commercial tools flashing on our industry radar.
And we have a lot of ground to cover. We've got new computer vision models that can run on the edge. We have the government's latest strategic moves on AI. It's a packed brief.
Let's get right into it then. We're going to start where the rubber meets the runway, the artisan. I'm talking about the mechanic, the fabricator, the folks turning wrenches at CCAT or any of our depots.
The backbone of the entire operation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want you to just picture the reality of that job for a second. You got a rotor blade, some complex engine component on the bench. You've been on shift for maybe 6 hours.
You're tired.
You're tired. And you're looking for corrosion, for micro cracks, or maybe FOD, that's foreign object debris. And usually this means what? Calipers, bright lights, magnifying glasses, and a whole lot of squinting.
And let's be honest about the human factor. That whole manual process is incredibly time-consuming, but it's also it's prone to fatigue. If you've been staring at turbine blades for 8 hours straight, your eyes start to play tricks on you.
Oh, for sure.
You might miss a hairline fracture. Or, on the flip side, you might flag a shadow as a crack just because you're burnt out.
The phantom crack problem.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It really is. And that is exactly where this week's updates come in. We saw 2 major releases in mid-January that are, I think, absolute game changers for the OIB shop floor. The first is an update to Ultralytics, specifically what they're calling the YOLO 26 family.
Okay, let's unpack YOLO first, because for most people listening, that means you only live once.
Right.
But in computer vision, it's something totally different.
Right. In our world, YOLO stands for You Only Look Once. It's a type of neural network. The old way of doing computer vision was pretty slow, that the computer would scan an image pixel by pixel, block by block.
Like it was reading a book.
Exactly. YOLO processes the entire image in a single pass. It identifies objects basically instantly. And this new update that dropped around January 16th, version 8.4.4, is pushing everyone toward this new YOLO 26 standard.
So instead of a camera slowly scanning, it just kind of glances at the part and knows what it's seeing immediately.
Precisely. It's real time. But here is where it gets really interesting for the Artisan and where we solve that whole phantom crack issue. On January 22nd, we saw the release of the RF-DETR segmentation checkpoints.
Okay, that is a mouthful of alphabet soup. Translate that for the floor supervisor.
Right. Think of it this way. Classic detection, it just puts a box around an object. It draws a square around a wrench and says, this is a wrench.
Which is helpful, I guess, if you're just looking for a lost tool.
Yeah.
A box is fine.
Sure. But if you're analyzing a stress fracture on a strut, a box is useless. A box tells you the location, but it doesn't tell you the severity. That's where segmentation comes in. Segmentation traces the exact pixel-perfect outline of the object. It doesn't just put a box around the corrosion, it draws a map around it.
So it turns a visual picture into a math problem.
You got it. If you have a patch of corrosion, the system can tell you exactly how many square millimeters it covers. If you scan that same part 6 months later, the AI can overlay the new outline and tell you, this defect grew by 4.2%.
You can't do that with a box.
You can't do that with a box. And these new checkpoints, they range from a nano size all the way up to 2x large. They allow us to do that precise measurement in real time.
I want to touch on that nano thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because usually when we talk about this kind of high-speed processing, people assume we need this massive server rack humming in the corner.
Right.
But hangars are dirty, they're hot, they're noisy places. You can't always have a pristine server nearby.
And that's the breakthrough here. The nano checkpoints are optimized for what we call the edge. We are talking about running these models on, say, a ruggedized laptop or a small NVIDIA Jetson kit right there on the workbench.
Okay, now I can just hear the security officers in the audience grinding their teeth. They're thinking, please tell me you are not suggesting a mechanic downloads a vision model from the internet and plugs it into the OIB network.
And they are absolutely right to worry. You cannot do that. And that brings us to the authorized connection. The beauty of these specific updates, RF-DETR and YOLO 26, is that they are perfect for IL5 self-hosted solutions.
So these run completely offline, no internet connection needed.
Yes, you don't need the cloud. You put this on that local edge kit in the hangar. The video feed from the camera never leaves the building. It processes right there, gives the mechanic the thumbs up or down, and logs the data to the internal maintenance record.
So it's secure.
It's secure, it's fast, and it keeps all the data within the enclave.
That is massive for the shop floor. I mean, faster return to service, less manual documentation, it all stays off the open internet.
It's truly the future of intake and inspection.
All right, let's leave the hangar and head up to the office. Segment 2, the analyst. These are our strategists, our data crunchers, the people living in Excel and SQL.
The folks who turn all those raw numbers into readiness narratives.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there was an event mentioned in our sources called the M365 Copilot Agent-a-thon. It was happening in Arlington on January 21st. Agent-a-thon sounds like a frantic day at a call center, but I'm guessing this is different.
Very different. Yeah, this really highlights that shift I mentioned in the intro. We are moving from chatbots to agents. An agent isn't just a bot that summarizes a document for you.
It does stuff.
It has permission to do things. It can search a SharePoint site, it can write an email, it can update a row in an Excel sheet, or triage a supply backlog. See, that's the scary part for me. We're used to a read-only AI. It reads the manual, it summarizes the email. But you're talking about read-write access. You're giving the bot the keys to the database.
Yep.
So instead of asking how many parts are backordered, you're saying find all the backordered parts and then email the suppliers.
And what happens if the AI hallucinates a backorder that doesn't even exist?
You've just annoyed a supplier and completely messed up your forecast.
Exactly. And that is what Microsoft is calling runtime risk.
Yeah.
There was a critical article released on January 23rd titled, From Runtime Risk to Real-Time Defense. It's a warning that if you build an agent to execute tasks, you have to be terrified of it hallucinating data or accessing files it shouldn't.
Right. If I ask the agent to, say, summarize the budget, and it pulls a file from a restricted folder I'm not supposed to see.
You have a spill. Or worse, what they call automated exfiltration.
Yeah.
If an agent is allowed to send emails and it gets confused or manipulated by a bad prompt, it could just email sensitive data out to the wrong person. So for our analysts using the Big Four tools, I'm thinking specifically Copilot in GCC High or Ask Sage, how do they handle this? Because we can't just not use these tools, right? The efficiency game is just too high.
They need to stop thinking of themselves as prompt writers and start thinking more like workflow architects. It's a mindset shift. When you use Ask Sage to generate some SQL code, you're still checking the logic, line by line.
You're the human in the loop.
Always. When you use Copilot to analyze data, you're applying the defense principles from that Microsoft article. You have to ensure the agent only has the least privilege necessary to do its job.
It's like giving a new private deal the keys to the supply room. You don't give them the master key to everything. You give them the key to the specific closet they need to sweep.
That's a perfect analogy. And for the analysts, this is actually empowering. Instead of writing SQL from scratch for hours, they use the tools to generate the syntax. But they remain the gatekeepers. They're the ones ensuring that what the agent does actually matches the mission intent.
Okay, let's move on to segment 3, the supervisor, the team lead. These are the folks stuck right in the middle. They're managing the artisans, they're reporting to the executives, and they are buried in what we lovingly call red tape.
Oh, yeah. The rostering, the shift logs, the safety reports, it just never ends.
So the update here is about something called open code. On January 23rd, they released a changelog that mentions thinking presets and multi-provider patterns. Now, that sounds incredibly technical for a shift supervisor who just wants to get their team home on time.
It does, but it's simpler than it sounds.
What does a thinking preset mean for them?
Think of open code as a workbench for text, kind of like how the mechanic has a workbench for parts. A thinking preset is just a digital template that guides how the AI approaches a messy problem.
Okay, give me a real-world example.
The shift handover log. It's the bane of every supervisor's existence. Usually you have these rough notes just scribbled on a pad, right? Smooth out sick, machine 4, hydraulic leak, safety brief complete.
And if you just paste that into the official record, you're going to get yelled at for being unprofessional.
Right. So you end up spending 30 minutes rewriting it into Army standard language. With a thinking preset in a tool like OpenCode, which can run locally on an IL5 self-hosted setup, or even using Copilot, you just feed in those rough notes.
And it cleans it up.
The preset forces the AI to output it in the exact standardized format required by command, every time.
That saves, what, 30 minutes a shift per supervisor?
Easily. And the quality goes way up because the format is consistent. But,
yes.
and this is a big but, we have to go back to that Microsoft security article. It applies to supervisors too, specifically this concept of guardrails first.
Because supervisors deal with people, not just parts.
Correct. They deal with names, medical issues, disciplinary actions, all sorts of PII. Supervisors are the first line of defense here. If they're using these agents to help with rostering or logs, they absolutely must ensure they aren't feeding personally identifiable information into the model.
So typing Private Smith is out with the flu is a bad idea.
It's risky. Now, in a local secure IL5 environment, you have more leeway, but the best practice is always to control the knowledge scope. Ask yourself, does the AI need to know why Smith is sick to update the roster?
No. It just needs to know the slot is empty.
Exactly. That's a great distinction. Automation is fantastic for efficiency, but the supervisor has to control what the bot knows. Its need to know, even for the AI.
Especially for the AI.
Especially for the AI.
All right, let's take it all the way up the chain. Segment 4. The executive. Command leadership. They care about readiness, ROI, and compliance. They don't want to hear about Python scripts or presets. They want to know if we are ready to fight tonight.
And they want to know they aren't wasting the budget on shelfware. That brings us to a story from FedScoop on January 21st about the U.S. government's annual tally of AI uses.
So this is basically a big inventory list of who's using what AI across the entire federal government, right?
It is. And for a commander at a depot or at AMCOM, this list isn't just a list, it's a strategic asset. Because the hardest part of deploying AI in the DoD, it isn't building the model. It's getting the ATO.
The authority to operate. The mountain of paperwork that says this software is safe to turn on.
The very same. So if you look at that FedScoop list and you see that, say, the Navy or another Army agency has already built a predictive maintenance model for a T-700 engine.
You don't build it yourself.
You do not reinvent the wheel. But even more importantly, you leverage their accreditation. It's a process called reciprocity. You can go to your security folks and say, look, this system is already approved for use on the Army network over there. We want to use the same thing.
So you're not just drafting off their code, you're drafting off their security paperwork.
Which is the real ROI.
Yeah.
It cuts the implementation time from years down to months. And this connects directly to the Zero Trust implementation guidelines we saw referenced for January 2026. Zero Trust is the standard now. You can't just trust a system because it's inside our firewall.
So how do we tie this to the big four for our execs?
You use Army Vantage. Vantage is the perfect place to dashboard the readiness of these programs. You use it to track which of your systems are compliant, and you use that federal inventory list to justify new modules in GenAI.mil or in Vantage.
So the takeaway for leadership is pretty clear. Don't build shadow agents off the books.
Please don't.
Use the federal inventory to find approved use cases that can actually survive an audit and get an ATO.
It's all about sustainable innovation, not just one-off science experiments.
Okay, we've covered the authorized world. Now it is time to shift gears.
Let's do it.
This is the industry radar. We are looking at the commercial sector now.
And this is the part where I have to be the buzzkill for a second.
Go ahead, do the disclaimer.
Remember, the tools we are about to mention are for your home lab or for industry awareness only. They are not currently authorized for CUI, for OIB networks, or any official depot business. Do not plug these into your government laptop. If you do, Cyber Command will come knocking and they will not be smiling.
Loud and clear. Okay, first up, OpenAI. On January 20th, reports came out that ChatGPT can now predict a person's age.
Yeah, Reuters reported on this one. It's a mix of cool and honestly a little creepy. It can analyze a photo and predict a person's age with pretty decent accuracy.
Why do we care about that at the depot? I mean, we aren't checking IDs at a bar.
Biometrics. Right now, it's a commercial novelty, sure. But in the future, think about security gates. Think about identity verification at the perimeter. If a camera can verify identity and maybe age instantly, that changes your physical security posture. It's not here for us yet, but it's on the horizon.
Interesting. Next up, Anthropic. On January 21st, they updated their constitution.
This is fascinating stuff. Anthropic doesn't just train their AI on data, they give it a constitution, a set of ethical rules and logic that it has to follow. This latest update shows they're really trying to hard code ethics and behavior so the model is predictable.
Which is exactly what we need in the DoD. We need predictability. We can't have a loose cannon.
Exactly. We need models that follow orders. Watching how Anthropic solves this on the commercial side gives us clues on how we'll eventually solve it for mission-critical systems.
And finally, DeepMind. January 22nd, they dropped something called the D4RT Robotics Simulator.
Okay, this is the big one for the OIB. D4RT lets you simulate robotics in software before you ever build the hardware. You can train a robot arm to pick up a part in a virtual world, and you can have it practice thousands of times a second.
So by the time you actually build the real robot for the warehouse floor, it already knows what to do.
It's called zero-shot transfer. In the simulation, the robot can fail 1,000,000 times. It can drop the engine block, it can crush the part, swing wildly, and it costs $0. It learns the physics. Then you upload that brain to the physical robot, and it just works. First try.
So we break the virtual robot instead of the $50,000 prototype.
That's it, exactly. This foreshadows much faster autonomy for warehouse robots, for inspection drones, for automated paint booths. We aren't just coding robots anymore, we are training them in the matrix first.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And a little terrifying, but mostly incredible.
Mostly incredible.
All right, let's bring it all back home. We've covered a lot today. Whether it's YOLO 26 allowing for instant defect detection on the line, or secure agents helping analysts and supervisors cut through all that red tape, the theme this week is clearly standardization.
It is. We're moving from, look what this cool AI can do, to, here is the standard workflow for how we use it safely. We're moving from experiments to reliable, repeatable processes.
And as we wrap up, I know you have a parting thought for us.
I do. We talked a lot today about AI agents doing actual work writing logs, sending emails. The question for next week is this. When an agent makes a mistake in a safety report, who signs off on the correction, you or the bot?
Yeah.
If the AI wrote it and you approved it, who really owns the error? As these tools get better and better, that line is going to get blurrier, and we need to be ready to answer that question.
Something to think about as you head into the week. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're turning wrenches in the hangars or crunching numbers for the command team, you are the engine that keeps Army aviation ready. Stay safe, stay innovative, and we'll see you on the next Depot AI Brief.